Betty, thank you so much. You've been very patient. We had a long executive session. It's a great, executive sessions are opportunity for us to have conversations that are not as, don't always happen in the regular meeting. So I'm Betsy Hagee, so I'm calling this meeting to order. Calling the meeting to order, and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. Wait. First, we're going to call the supplemental budget hearing to order, because we're going to do that first. It's very brief, but we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance with that. Shall we? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we do have a supplemental budget this evening, and so there is a hearing that is required. Do we have any public comments on the supplemental budget that was in the agenda? Robin's checking. No. Guess what? We can now adjourn the supplemental budget hearing. Thank you. And now we will call the, yes, please clap. Now we will call the regular meeting to order. It looks like 6:36 or so. Do we have, our students are here. We've got all three of them. Do you guys want to divide and conquer on the mission, vision, and values? You have one microphone to share, and you can divvy up and each read one. There, you have one microphone there. There you go.
Educating each student to the highest standards while motivating them to reach their fullest potential and graduating them to be college, career, and life ready.
Our schools are a place where children belong. Each student is known by a name, strength, and need, and provided the education and opportunities to achieve success.
Striving for equity, inclusion, and belonging. Celebrating diversity, engaging the community, supporting the whole child, promoting and achieving academic excellence.
Thank you. Hey, I got Nancy's nameplates flipped. I think I need to, there you go. Thanks very much. Okay, so item 7, thank you. Review and revise the agenda. Do we have any revisions to the agenda?
We need to add to the agenda an item to address the complaints that we heard in executive session.
Excellent. Let's add that now, and I'll take motions on that. Or should we wait? She has a comment.
I just was going to recommend you add it to 15B under
Okay.
action items.
We did not decide that, yes. 15B. Thank you, that's a good recommendation. We will add it there.
I think we should move the building student representative reports earlier so that we can have this happen.
I'm in favor of that. Do we need a motion to do that? Okay. So, do I need a motion to do all that? No. We can just do that.
What, Director Pauline, are you recommending we move that ahead of consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
That we do that now so these kids can
So you just
have
do
a
one
good night of
motion.
rest.
Yep.
Okay.
And so now you just have a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay. So I need an motion to approve the agenda as amended, which adds item 15B, motions for the executive session, and moves the building student representative reports to now. I need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to add the amendment to step 15 and to move the building student representative reports to now.
I have a second. Thank you. And all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that means we can commence with item 12, the building student representative reports. And starting this evening with Chenoweth Elementary School, Eric and Talon.
Sorry, Chair Hagee, did you ask if there were any public comments on agenda items only?
You know, I didn't see any in the sign up, but are there any? Are there any public comment sign-ups? I don't think that there were.
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah, I looked. And, okay, is this Eric?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric Aparicio. Soy Eric y estoy en la clase de la maestra Bustos. Talon Richmond was here but had to leave. ASB has held a meeting for 4th and 5th grade to bring back soccer. We all signed a contract. ASB tuvo una reunión para los alumnos de 4 y 5 grado para proponer el regreso del fútbol. Todos firmamos un contrato. 5th grade had a field trip to Columbia Hills State Park. We took a hike, we learned about the shrub steppe ecosystem, and we also ate lunch there. It was fun. It was with the Secrets program. Los alumnos de 5º grado hicimos una excursión al Parque Estatal Columbia Hills. Caminamos, aprendimos sobre el ecosistema de la estepa arbustiva y también almorzamos ahí. Fue muy divertido. La excursión fue parte del programa de Secrets. ASB is doing a coin challenge to raise money for a school mural. The winning grade will have one person from each class pie an ASB member in the face at an assembly. We brought the 5th grade bucket for you to donate to. ASB está organizando un reto de monedas para recaudar fondos para un mural escolar. El grado ganador tendrá que escoger un alumno que le lanzará un pastelazo a un miembro de ASB durante una asamblea. Hemos traído nuestra cubeta para que podáis donar. Would you like something from Burgerville tonight? Because Chenoweth Burger Booster Club is having a fundraiser tonight. Write your order on this paper and Miss Maraid will go and get your orders and bring them back to this meeting.
What? Okay, well, that's pretty exciting, Eric.
¿Quieren algo de Burgerville esta noche? El Club de Apoyo de Chenoweth organiza una recaudación de fondos. Escriban su pedido en este papel y la señora Maraid lo recogiera y lo traerá a la reunión. Lastly, we had a skate night in our gym last Friday. It was fun and lots of people were falling. This time the Booster Club added knee pads and elbow pads. Por último, el viernes pasado tuvimos una noche de patinaje en nuestro gimnasio. Fue muy divertido aunque mucha gente se cayó. Esta vez el club de apoyo añadió roderías y coderas. At Chenoweth we always say together we are better. En Chenoweth decimos juntos somos mejores. That's all for this month. See you next month. Don't forget to write your Burgerville orders down. Eso es todo de esta mes. Nos vemos al mes que viene. No olvides anotar tus pedidos de Burgerville.
Okay, we'll make sure your bucket gets around too. Thank you. Irie and Gabrielle from Dry Hollow.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for having us. This month, November's word of the month was gratitude. Gratitude means being thankful for what you have.
The staff at Dry Hollow is showing gratitude for each other by putting messages on paper turkey feathers and attaching them on paper turkeys by the teachers' doors.
Student Council has started up. They're going to have a canned food drive starting December 2nd to donate to St. Vincent de Paul's.
The first week of December is parent-teacher conference. I'm okay with that. Aren't I, Mr. Kaiser?
Dry Hollow had another amazing Veterans Day assembly. Thank you to Ms. Corey for all the work you did to make this happen. Thank you also, Board Director Mr. Pauline, for your speech during the assembly.
The fourth graders dissected big pig hearts today. Oh boy, it was nasty looking.
Dry Hollow will be kicking off Curiosity Quest on Monday afternoons after break to allow for students to have choice, voice, and deeper engagement in their learning.
The fifth graders just finished a solar system project where they made models of the solar system and gave speeches. It was out of this world.
Also, we have some exciting field trips coming up. Stay tuned for details.
On November 3rd, bus drivers taught us bus safety drills. It was very interesting. Well, it was somewhat interesting.
Before we leave you, here's our joke of the day for you. We accept courtesy laughs.
How do you warm up in any room?
Ready for the punchline? Huddle in the corner. They're always 90 degrees. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Loving the limelight. Well done. Thank you for the report. How about the middle school? Aubrey, are you here?
Hello. Okay, so first of all, we held a Veterans Day assembly on Monday, November 10th. Our retired teacher, Mr. Larry Fairclough, helped organize the event. Our students had the privilege of hearing Mr. Langumfer, a Vietnam pilot who spent 14 months as a prisoner of war in Laos. Local veterans were recognized and presented poppies and refreshments. Our choir, band, and American Sign Language students performed the national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. TDMS students were also a part of the color guard presentation. We want to thank Dr. Renaud and members of her team for attending our event. And on November 7th, we held our first dance of the year. We had over 240 students attend the dance, and in order to be able to go to the dance, you have to have at least an 80% attendance rate. We want to thank our chaperones that assisted the dance, and we had several parents and many TDMS staff members donate their time to help make the dance event successful and fun. Our boys' basketball season has been running for a few weeks. They have completed half of their season so far. We have 3 teams representing TDMS this year. Their season will end in December. And our girls' cheer squad just completed their season. They cheered at the home football and boys' basketball games. Before break, we will have a Wildcat Day on Friday. Each teacher will be holding a fun activity in their own classroom for students to participate in from 1:30 to 2:50 p.m. This is really fun for students to spend their last hour or two having fun before Thanksgiving break and celebrating the hard work they put in this trimester. And we end it tomorrow, obviously. And the beginning of trimester 2 will start on December 1st, where they will get new electives for their schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Aubrey. How about Kit? Kit, are you here from Innovations?
Good evening, members of the board, staff, and community. My name is Kit, and I'm here to share an update on what's been happening at Innovations Academy this month. It's been a busy, fun, and inspiring start to the school year, filled with activities that brought our students, staff, and families together in meaningful ways. In October, we celebrated Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and it was incredible to see the entire campus turn pink. Students and staff showed their support by dressing head to toe in pink, and the positive energy around the building was contagious. It was a simple but powerful reminder of the kindness and unity that define our school community. Later that month, we had our optional costume day to celebrate Halloween. The creativity and enthusiasm were off the charts, from classic costumes to clever group themes. Everyone had a chance to show off their personality and have a little fun together. The 9th grade class also hosted a special pumpkin carving advisory activity, inviting families in on the fun. It was a great opportunity to connect outside of regular class time. There were laughs, a bit of friendly competition, and of course plenty of pumpkin guts everywhere. It really captured the community spirit we value at Innovations. Our 10th grade held an advisory movie night, which turned out to be a huge success. The students got to relax, enjoy snacks, and spend time together in a laid-back setting. It was a great way for the class to bond and take a break from the busy school routine. We also recently hosted a family night, which was a special evening for our whole school community. Families and staff came. Families came to spend time together, connect with staff, and see our brand new school mural go up. The mural turned out beautifully. It represents our school creativity, diversity, and sense of pride. Seeing everyone come together to celebrate it was definitely the highlight of the year. We also held a fundraiser night at Big Jim's, which was a great success. Many families showed up to support the school while enjoying good food and great company. We're thankful for the partnership and the community support that helps make our events possible. To wrap up the trimester, we celebrated with our end of trimester celebration, a day packed with student choice activities and a famous fat staff versus students competition. From games to challenges, everyone had a blast. It was the perfect way to celebrate all the hard work and accomplishments of the trimester. The students won and gained 2-point lead over the staff in the ongoing competition. And coming up, we're very excited for our Winter Bazaar on December 6th. This event is open to the entire community and will feature local vendors, student booths, and plenty of holiday spirit. It's a great opportunity for families to do some holiday shopping while supporting our school. We're looking forward to a great turnout and festival day filled with community connections. Overall, it's been such a positive and engaging few months at Innovations Academy. Students have had so many opportunities to connect, create, and celebrate together. On behalf of the student body, I'd like to thank you all for your continued support in helping us make these moments together. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Is Amber here from the Dallas High School? Okay, thank you. Oh. All right, then going back to item 9 on the, you got it? Okay. Going back to item 9, the consent agenda. It consists of routine items such as board minutes, routine personnel actions, and routine financial transactions. We don't expect a lot of discussion, but our consent agenda includes the October 23rd board meeting minutes, the November personnel report, the second reading and adoption of policies. All were included in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Do I have a second? Dana seconds. Do we have any? There's generally no discussion. So all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, I have 2 opposed. Okay, so then that passes 2-5. Moving on to number 10, the Board of Directors Operations. Some of the things, I'm going to skip over those things that are in the agenda of what we typically might do during this time period and go to the member reports, which include committee reports if applicable, So I can start. I don't have a committee report from the Columbia Gorge GSD Budget Committee, not in a budget cycle now. Some of the, there's a lot of meetings and background calls that happen, but one thing I am doing and want to be conscious about is reading a couple studies that were done last year. One is a big study on the special education program, and the other was done in the middle of last year, the Family and Community Engagement Assessment. And I look forward to conversations with staff about those. There were a lot of initiatives, and where are we with those? Director Wynn Elledge, do you have anything to report or share?
Yes, I do. The scholarship committee met for the first time this year. I was elected treasurer, and no steward body committee meetings as of yet. They're still pending contracts.
Very good, thank you. Director Pauline.
Yes, we're on the community outreach item, correct? Okay, yep. Met with the community outreach team, and one of the big projects that the county is going to be probably faced with is receiving waste up at the landfill, and it's going to be barged in and trucked up there to our landfill, and this is going to create a lot of traffic, semi-traffic, specifically most likely going up, 197, which is the truck route, and the intersection coming off of the freeway, and it'll be barged most likely from the river over on the west end of town. I saw that actually as an opportunity for us to kind of push for funding for an overpass for traffic safety, because that overpass would open up the property that the district owns on the east side of town. Because as I understand, in the past, the property was determined to not be usable for a school site because of specifically that intersection there would require an overpass. So I put that out there to the group so that at least that idea is out in the universe now. To request funding from this project for the traffic safety for the significant increase in truck traffic. I'm not sure of the timing. I will be meeting soon again, and I will get more information on that. With that, I was also asked what policy, project, etc., do we have as a board that we would like to take to this committee?
Oh, they're looking for community action type things, or things you can take back to any federal issues, right?
Or really just county and city projects or policies that will facilitate or enable the school district.
Well, first of all, is to get the county to respond on our Google receipts. We'll work on that one.
Yeah.
That's in the works. Yeah, we'll think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a worthwhile discussion, and they are asking, how can we partner with you? They understand that the schools are a huge part of what makes a community healthy, and so they want to find ways that we can do that. So we should be thinking about that and look for those opportunities.
And is there any continued conversation relative to the Early Learning Center at Chenoweth Middle School? Is that still?
They lost their funding.
I get that, and I'm saying, is there any continued discussion relative to that project?
A good question.
No, there hasn't been, but we can continue to talk about it.
Yeah, to me, that's an effort, that's an opportunity to revitalize a very underutilized facility that we only use the gymnasium for currently, and it would serve a need that exists within the community. So.
I know that they were doing certain things, like Adventist made major changes to their structures to make them a rural hospital, and part of that was daycare and different things. So I don't know, maybe things are still afoot. Hard to say.
All right. Yeah, I'll continue pushing that.
Are you done?
Yep.
One thing we could do on the what Director Pauline mentioned, the trucking up 197. I expect we have buses, do we, that go on that route? And that just advise the transportation to be aware of when that starts to happen. And additional safety measures. Thank you. Director Jones. No, okay, nothing, thank you. And then Director Apprecio, I'm sorry, I missed you.
Yeah, on November 6th through the 8th, I was the lone attendee for OSBA convention. So Thursday was focused on the theme of from conflict to conversation. Friday was, the keynote was about leading through complexity, and some great sessions in between. During the regional gathering for the Gorge region, the biggest conversation, and Dr. Bernal, you've been mentioning this in your updates, is relative to the PBAM. And so for kind of those watching and listening, that is legislation that is completely shifting the way we account our funds and our monies for school. And it's a huge endeavor that, in my opinion, would pull resources and personnel to focus on redoing our accounting system instead of putting the dollars in the classroom where they belong. And so there was a huge kind of consensus amongst our Gorge region. Mark Mulvihill, the superintendent from IMESD, had a lot of good information for us, as well as some of the other superintendents from the region. And they kind of put me a little bit to task, being that I am the lone person that's been nominated for the Legislative Policy Committee. So I took that as encouragement that I may get more than just one vote coming from our board for that.
We believe in you.
So that was a positive, but it really made me think about, as we gear up here into 2026 in the short session, that's going to be a very pertinent conversation, not only for us as D21, but I think the Gorge region, because it was a very resounding, I mean, we spent the whole time talking about PBAM, so.
Do you have a comment, Dr. Bernal, about that?
Only, I just was going to say that we have received recent news that they are delaying the implementation of PBAM, probably not till 2027, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah, I also
They
read
heard
that.
loud and clear from superintendents.
I think it's getting received, so.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to say, I think we heard it from our rep from Chenoweth. Director Pauline and I both attended the skate night, and I think that was really fun to be able to take our kiddos to that event. It was great to see a good attendance at that event and growing. That's the second time that that's happened at Chenoweth. And this has been, or this second time was a bigger attendance. So it was great to see the community coming together and having a good time with kids and as a family. One other thing. Oh, and I just wanted to be very complimentary to A.D. Taylor and just the Riverhawks as a whole. This fall season has been tremendous. I didn't get a chance to email you. I was able to travel to watch the girls compete for the state title for soccer, and that was a great event to take my family to and watch those girls compete. But in saying that, I think we should, at our December meeting, recognize the great season that our Riverhawks had in the fall, because it wasn't just the girls soccer team. It was
Indeed,
cross-country.
there is a planned, that is planned for December.
All right.
Yeah, give the chance for the athletes to come in.
And that concludes what I've got.
Thank you very much, Director Aparicio. Director Kelly, do you have a report?
I'm not part of any formal committee through the board, but I will say I did attend the last bargaining meeting. It was in this room. It is a public meeting. Anybody can attend those. Would encourage you to do so. Following what Director Aparicio was saying, kudos to Mr. Taylor. And I also appreciate you keeping in front of us the OSAA reclassification information. I appreciate your emails and keeping us updated, and would also encourage people to continue sending information to the Assistant Executive Director, Kelly F. at osaa.org, about our wishes to remain in the Tri-Valley Conference and for 4A classification out of the 6A classifications. There is one more meeting, but I think it is important to continue stating what our wishes are from a broad audience, and would encourage everybody to send just a really quick email. And like Director Aparicio also was fortunate enough to go to the girls' championship match. I got to go to three of their postseason matches, and also traveled down to the state volleyball tournament and got to watch 3 of their matches, and it was just really incredible. Sounds like cross country also had a really great season and performed well at state. So kudos to them. And I think that's all I have.
That's great, thank you. Lastly, Director Kramer, do you have a report? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 11.
I believe I have an alibi. I wanted to discuss some work that I had done early in the year, or earlier in the month. Okay, so one of the things I've been studying is states that have had transformation in their like their school performance on the metrics. And so one of the things we did earlier at our last work session was statistics, and seeing the statistics of our district, it got me. You see the number of kids that aren't passing or aren't displaying competency, and anyway, one of the states that in the last 10 years that has gone from last place, like being the butt of every joke on education, Mississippi, to being mid-tier on the states, is basically they have the students show competency before promotion. And I think that one of the things that Mississippi and the Dells kind of can share is some of the demographics, or at least Mississippi shows that you can get performance with not a lot of money. And so I would like to maybe put together a committee to study what Mississippi has done and how, like, the things that we're doing as a district that are aligned with that vision, and then opportunities to adopt policy revisions to increase our performance.
So is that like a committee of the board, or a committee that works with the board and the superintendent and other key people in the administration, maybe?
My recommendation, because I believe that conversation would need to include several different stakeholders at the table for that conversation.
But so is that a committee that we could?
It could be
just
committee work.
Hey, and complementing the work that was started in the work session, which was to look at all our state metrics and understand them. And we started that at the work session in the beginning of November. It was very helpful. And then it will continue, supposedly, at each meeting to take a deeper look into each one. I would appreciate having a special committee that just looks at performance changes. I think, there's you don't just hit it from one angle. It's not just an administrative job. It's also the community, and it's also good policy coming from the board. And so how do we engage all those things and do good work, right? How would we set up that committee? David would like to be on it.
You would have to come back with an agenda item in December to establish the committee, because you do have a policy around committees.
Okay.
So we could bring it in December to establish the committee, and at that time, the board could identify which board members would serve on that committee.
Okay.
And staff and all that, okay?
The board wouldn't decide the staff, I would direct that work.
Awesome, good to know. Let's just have it. Okay, so that's in the minutes, and Renata can help us to make sure that's on the agenda so we could do that. That's great.
And as mentioned, attended both the middle school and the Dry Hollow Veterans Day assemblies, and they were wonderful, and was very appreciative of the lessons that were taught during those assemblies.
Oh, that's great. That you were a presenter. Thank you for doing that.
And that concludes my presentation.
The second one. Thank you. Student representatives. Yeah, go ahead, Raphael.
Starting in November, TDHS, we have been spreading the word about 11th and 12th graders being able to take the seal of biliteracy test, which allows them to earn high school world language credit and a seal on their diploma. The registration due date is the 21st of this month, and the test is December 16th. We've also been offering students with easier ways to find community service opportunities in our area, just through the justserve.org website. This week is finals week for trimester 1, and at our high school library, our TDHS leadership team and Miss Nubia have made a great effort and provided a hot beverage station to encourage students to finish off strong. Along with the help, there is a Path to Scholarship workshop happening on the 4th of December at our TDHS library, with breakfast and lunch provided. In leadership news, we are running our non-perishable food drive and our penny wars, where we raise money that'll go towards the Yes House, which is an organization that helps the youth in our community with stable housing, food, and clothing. The best of the season is now here. The seniors have now received their chocolate cherries, and they're ready to be sold. And to end it off, it's time to recognize some of our outstanding Riverhawks. For last month, our recognition winners are Abigail Spino, our outstanding Youth of the Gorge, Willow and Ivan Santana for Athletes of the Month, and Mr. Alzheimer for Teacher of the Month. Congratulations, Riverhawks. Also, a huge shout out to our fall sports. Both our volleyball and girls soccer teams competed in the final round of the state championship, marking school history. Our boys soccer team competed in the quarterfinals, and cross-country boys got 4th, and the girls got 6th in state. Way to continue representing the greatest of our school.
Thank you, Raphael. Nancy, do you? Okay, that was your report. How about you, Lorraine? Thank you. Staff reports then. Item 13, starting with D21 Education Association. That would be Kate.
Good evening. For the past few months, I've sat here and talked about the importance of communication and transparency. I've often alluded to what staff are experiencing, but tonight I want to share some more concrete examples. Not to accuse or criticize, but to offer genuine insight into what educators are feeling and facing every day. My goal is to open the lines of communication and invite us all to ask, what could make things better? How can we look at our work through a lens that ensures every student and or staff member feels they belong, are valued, and know that we care deeply about their future? I watched the recent executive session on data, and I want to contribute to that conversation, to bring forward what I call personal touch data. I know that's not what you guys were doing, but that's what I'm gonna bring tonight. These are lived realities behind the numbers, so we can see the full picture and work together towards solutions. Many of our students throughout the district are reading below grade level. Helping students progress requires time, attention, engagement, particularly through writing and reading processes. Yet our limited prep time is consumed by parent emails, counseling, updates, grading, lesson planning, and individual student assessments, and subbing for our colleagues. It's not possible to do all of this effectively within the time we are given. We also don't have enough ESPs to go around. Despite these challenges, our teachers have worked tirelessly to raise student reading levels. While they're not great, they're on the rise. But as workloads grow and confidence erodes about how our efforts are perceived, morale is slipping, and that matters. When educators feel disheartened, it affects our classroom and ultimately our students. Let's look at something as simple as class size. Increasing an average class by just 3 students per period may not sound like much, but across 5 periods, that's 15 additional students. For one essay or lab report, if grading takes 5 minutes for each of those, that's 75 extra minutes for that single assignment. Multiply that across 26 assignments per quarter, and you begin to see how the hours add up. Unlike other industries, this is expected of us, without overtime pay or additional compensation. This doesn't include entering data into PowerSchool, attending IEPs, 504 meetings, writing evaluations, or prepping materials. Meanwhile, the amount of prep time has not increased, and when student-facing positions are often the first to be cut, those remaining workloads grow even heavier. If students are truly at the center of what we do, how does overburdening teachers and cutting support staff align with that goal? Elementary classrooms and workload is especially complex. Teachers are responsible for every subject, as well as supporting students' social emotional needs, with frequent curriculum adoptions as they teach every subject. They are often learning a new program while still refining the previous one. This creates a growing list of expectations that can feel overwhelming. When departments outside of the school direct PLC professional learning communities on Wednesdays, and they don't align with what teachers need while navigating new curricula, it adds to that stress. I appreciate that our new Director of Teaching and Learning is holding listening sessions, and I'm hopeful this will lead to better alignment and support. Ultimately, our elementary teachers need fewer overlapping initiatives so they can focus their time and energy on their students. And I want to be clear, each of these initiatives on its own is something teachers can support. Teachers want to grow, improve, and implement strong practices. But when many initiatives are layered at once, especially during tight financial times, the workload becomes unsustainable. We need to do fewer things really well before adding more to teachers' plates. That is how we protect quality, and that is how we support both staff and students. Add to that weekly principal meetings, which can pull administrators out of buildings for 2 or more hours, sometimes leaving schools without licensed coverage. That's not just an inconvenience, it's a safety concern for both staff and students. Sometimes it is covered, it's not always left vacant, but just wanted to put that in there. Finally, we have to ask, what incentives are we offering to keep quality educators and support staff here? Many of our ESPs can make more working, sometimes at McDonald's or Fred Meyer, than they can in our schools. I urge the district to make choices that truly prioritize student-facing positions, because when we invest in the people who work directly with students, we invest in our students themselves. Our students deserve teachers and staff who have the time, resources, and support to do their best work, not exhausted professionals stretched thin by too many initiatives and too few hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate, very much. Is there a report from the Northwest Education Support Professionals? Okay, thank you, Kate. All right, then moving on to new business. We'll start with the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I do have some things to share tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is high dosage tutoring eligibility. Last week, we learned that 46 school districts have been identified to receive additional funding as part of the early literacy grant for high dosage tutoring, focusing specifically on students not meeting grade level proficiency in reading in grades K-5. North Wasco is one of the districts eligible to receive this funding. This is 2 years of funding for the 25-27 biennium, with North Wasco eligible to receive approximately $198,322 over 2 years. School districts who accept this funding must ensure the following. We prioritize identified schools. Districts must prioritize high dosage tutoring supplement funds for highest needs school based on 3rd through 5th grade proficiency. These dollars must supplement, not supplant. So high dosage tutoring activities funded through these dollars must be used to expand or establish new tutoring activities. And we must participate in a high dosage tutoring community of practice. So districts must participate in ODE's high dosage tutoring community of practice, which will take place January to March 2026. I want to celebrate the Ed Foundation did their mini grant recipients. They identified the staff that won those grants this past couple weeks. And we were excited to see so many of our staff get these grants. These grants empower our teachers and staff across D21 to bring creative, hands-on, and innovative learning opportunities directly to students. Some of the funded projects include bridging the language gap for new English learners, growing minds and community through STEM, deep sea discoveries, and cardio drumming. The foundation was able to award 16 proposed projects for a total amount of $7,510. A very small budget update, because I know our CFO is also going to talk about the most recent November revenue forecast, which was released yesterday. It was not as doom and gloom as anticipated. Tomorrow, superintendents across the state will participate in a special 2-hour Friday forum to learn more about the recent forecast and any potential implications for K-12 funding. as well as where we will be asked to put our advocacy efforts, both for superintendents and school board members, ahead of the short legislative session. So more to come on that. Similar school rankings and groupings. In the past few weeks, ODE released their first draft of what they are calling similar district groupings. This is part of the accountability work happening at the state level. After release of the first draft, ODE received a lot of feedback from districts across the state regarding the grouping they were placed in. As a result of that feedback, ODE is pausing the review and finalization of the similar district groupings. The next iteration of the groupings will be released on December 3rd, and then that next iteration will go through an appeals process, which will take place between December 3rd through December 12th. So that way, if districts want to appeal the new iteration of grouping, they find themselves...
They should just call OSAA.
Yes. In the current iteration, North Wasco is in a cluster with 33 other districts. We have been examining the districts with whom we are clustered to identify if we truly are in a group with similar demographics, size, percent of special education students, percent of English learners served, and other data points. In the current iteration, it appears we are not similar to many of the districts we are with, which is concerning, especially if this is the comparative group for accountability purposes. We'll wait for the next iteration to come out on December 3rd to see what updates have been made and submit through the appeals process if we still feel we are miscategorized. 24-25 at-a-glance profiles were released today. Upon initial glance, here are some celebrations. Overall, as a district, we saw gains in our 8th grade math scores, our on-time graduation rates, and our 5-year completion rates. Chenoweth and Dry Hollow saw growth in their regular attender rates. Colonel Wright saw growth in their science scores. The Dalles Middle School saw growth in their regular attender rates, language arts, math, and science scores. The Dalles High School saw increases in their on-time graduation, 5-year completion, and college going rates. Innovations saw some of the most significant jumps, with a 12% increase in their on-time graduation rates and a 20% increase in their 5-year completion rates. That said, we continue to have a lot of work to do to move the needle in the right direction. We're very excited to dig deeper into the data behind the numbers with our team, analyze the effectiveness of what we have been doing, and plan for next steps. At our upcoming board meetings beginning in December, we will break down further the data behind the numbers and go much deeper in each of the following data indicators: regular attenders, 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, 9th grade on track, graduation rates, and 5-year completion rates. And that's my report.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
And next, I would like to invite Director Bowen and Director Toole to come up and talk about school safety. This was a presentation planned for last month that got postponed due to some illness.
I had a question on high dosage tutoring. What administrators will be involved in making that happen?
So that'll be a coordination work between myself and our Director of Teaching, Learning, and Assessment.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. Great.
Good evening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to come tonight. And I apologize that we weren't able to come last month. We had originally planned to target October for us to present because that's actually School Safety Month, and that's when we do a lot of our communications engagement with family around school safety. Unfortunately, as you all know, especially you who are parents, it's cold, flu, and apparently hand, foot, and mouth season in October, so we were unable to make it. We wanted to bring this report to you. So this is actually a presentation that we put together for a safety summit that we hosted at the beginning of the school year to talk about school safety with our families. It's something that we hope to build upon in the future and encourage more families to come to next year and in the future. But we thought it would be good to give kind of you guys a nuts and bolts version, if you will. And I promise I will go fast, and I have promised that I will kick or hit CJ if he starts talking too long for you guys. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about is just the nuts and bolts. So Oregon law requires that all of our schools conduct a fire drill once per month, with the first of those drills occurring within the first 10 days of school. So we start drilling right out of the gate every school year. Each school is also required to complete 2 earthquake drills per school year and then 2 safety threat drills per year. These safety drills can be a combination of different safety drills, including a lockdown, a secure, and/or a shelter. And I will talk about what those mean on the next slide. At least 30 minutes each month must be used for instruction on emergency procedures and drills for fires, earthquakes, and other safety measures. And we do encourage any of our parents and our visitors who are participating in our schools or volunteers who are there during these scheduled exercise days that they go ahead and participate. So just FYI, if you ever want to participate, I will let you know when those drills are. So the next one, I just wanted to do some key safety terms because some of these are kind of confusing. So the two that I think that get confused the most are the lockdown and the secure. What does that mean? What is the difference? So a lockdown takes place if a threat is identified inside of our school buildings. So unfortunately, that means there is a threat inside of our school buildings. Our school doors are locked. Students are confined to classrooms. There's no entry or exit. Obviously, law enforcement responds. Students are not released until police officers clear those rooms. Then we have what's called a secure. A secure is what we put our buildings in if there is a threat outside of our buildings. So essentially all the exterior doors are locked. Nobody comes or goes without inside the buildings, but business as usual, learning continues inside of the building. So it's a little less disruptive for our students. Again, we don't release those until we make sure we're in the all clear and that announcement has been made, and we don't have students going in or out of the building during those. And then the last two, which are kind of polar opposites of each other, we have a shelter, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking shelter inside of our building or a designated area. This could be something like hazardous materials, severe weather, that kind of thing, or an evacuation where we have something inside of our building, such as like a gas leak that we need to move students outside. And just a note, we do our best to make these calls. So sometimes we just have, seconds to make a decision of what we're making the safety call as between a secure and a lockdown. So there are times that we will put like a building into a secure that may move into a full lockdown, or maybe we call a lockdown and then find out, honestly, it could have been a lesser level, it could have been a secure. So the importance of these drills, these are critical for ensuring that our students and our staff know what to do in emergencies. Like I said, these can be fires, earthquakes, medical situations, inside or outside the building, and it helps prepare everyone to expect the unexpected because these things happen, and allows our staff and students to know how to respond and respond calmly and effectively. It also helps us build relationships with our local law enforcement, fire, EMS, our sheriff's office, city police, and state all participate in our drills routinely, so they're friendly faces inside of our school buildings. They often have sticker wars and are very popular with the kids. They give out their badge stickers. And that way, when they encounter these folks during those high stress situations, they know a friendly face, it's not all new to them, and the law enforcement get to know our buildings. And on that note, I'm going to turn it over to CJ to talk about behavioral safety assessments.
Thank you. And I think we all know who scored higher on the verbal SAT. Behavioral safety assessment. This is what we do. So it's developed using studies conducted by the U.S. Secret Service. It examines the circumstances around the threat that was made. It looks for attack-related behavior, indicating a greater risk of a planned act of targeted violence. The assessment itself has a very narrow focus. It's literally looking for a plan. And what it isn't is it's not a tool for profiling students. So what do we have here in North Wasco County School District? Here we use the Salem-Kaiser, also known as the Cascade model of threat assessment. We have a goal to have 4 trained staff in every building. Each school currently has a team of 2 to 4 trained staff called the Level 1 team, and we actually have 2 schools that have 5-person teams. Each Level 1 team has a binder with the forms, the visual flow charts. The next slide will you'll get a little taste of it. And the instructions for conducting a Level 1 assessment. They've all been through the training. They have district level support from the superintendent's office and the Department of Prevention and Intervention. And we have an established community safety assessment team that we call CSAT. That's our level 2 team. So we can refer to them if we think we need to go and get more resources. The core members of that are the Wasco County Youth Services, Dallas City Police, Wasco County DA's Office, the Oregon Youth Authority, and Center for Living. So this slide here, this is out of the manual. So information about a threat is received, and it can come from anywhere. And the train level 1 team member reviews the information, and actually I'll go into what it looks like in the schools in a second. And then the outcomes are either we're going to have a threat dismissal, we're going to have an immediate protective response, and then a level 1. If we think there's something imminent, we'll have a level 1 assessment, and those could lead to a referral to level 2 with a CSAT team. So what this looks like in our schools is that whenever this information pertaining to a possible threat or targeted violence is received, they can come from anywhere. 2 members of the building level 1 team come together to make an initial assessment. They are the ones that are trained in the system, and they know the context and the students and the conditions in their school better than anyone. If there is cause to move forward with an assessment, then the entire level 1 team would be called together. An administrator trained in the system or another designated team lead would delegate follow-up actions for each member, set a timeline to collect needed information, because they could do student interviews, student witness interviews, parent interviews, teacher interviews, and then bring the team back together a few hours later and take that information and review it through the protocol questions. So then you take these and they're keyed to the protocol questions and you walk through it. While these assessments generally do not need to take a long time, they can extend into a day or 2 depending on how readily available the needed information is. Example given when a student or student witness parent or parent will be available for an interview. And that's it. I thought I had another one. Thank you.
You do have a slide. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Parent Square Communications. So this is our school-to-home communication system. Teachers regularly use it to communicate with our families on a daily basis, but it's also our emergency alert system. So we encourage all families to stay up to date, making sure phone numbers, emergency pickups are all regularly updated. And while we do this all during the registration process every year, we do have a certain amount of, moving and changing that happens throughout the year. So this is just a little note to all the families to make sure that when you move or change phone numbers, to let your schools know, because it is important that we know how to get a hold of you in the case of an emergencies. I do want to take a little moment to brag primarily about our school secretaries and registrars, because during that registration system, they're the ones in charge of capturing that contact information. Our non-contact rate is so low that our rate actually comes up as 100%. So we have only about 10 families in the district that are considered non-contactable. What that means is they have registered and they have put the information in, and perhaps they have their phone went out of service, their emails are bouncing, things are not going through. We do work to capture those and update those when we can. Our secretaries will do their best to capture those families as they see them come in. But that's pretty incredible contact rate, so I just wanted to highlight that. We also encourage our families to be familiar with our school emergency communication procedures. We regularly send out drill informations. We send out our annual safety newsletter that went out actually in October, not fake October that we're in now. And we also have emergency preparedness guidelines posted on our website on a page under parents and families. Also up on the screen, I have some basic do's and don'ts, but I don't need to read through those. But the key is, if these things do happen, we encourage families to listen for the appropriate communication channels, not to drive to their student schools. I know I'm a parent and I'm a mama bear too, but that can actually inhibit our law enforcement from responding. And also knowing that in the case of an emergency, our secretaries are probably not going to be answering their phones, so stay tuned for those Parent Square communications. Don't try to get a hold of the school secretaries because they may be still in a lockdown. I also wanted to add in one more thing. So while the majority of our reports come through word of mouth, whether it's through parents, students, other reporting, we do have an anonymous reporting line that's available to anyone in the community. So this isn't just for students or families. Anyone can make these tips. It's Safe Oregon. We have the link in our website down below in the icons, as well as under that parent and family tab as well. Safe Oregon is confident and anonymous, and you can go in. It's a web portal that you can report at any time, and they actually review it and know how fast to escalate the tips that come in and whether or not they can go to the school. And they give us 48 hours to respond, or if this is immediate, we're calling law enforcement right now. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew that that resource was available. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize our community partnerships, because school safety is not siloed. We would not be able to practice the drills or conduct our schools in a safe manner without our community partners. We regularly collaborate with our law enforcement, our fire and rescue, and our other first responders, not only on our lockdown drills, but multiple interagency meetings, committee meetings. I won't list them all, but here's just a few of those community partners who are regularly in our schools and looking out for our kiddos. Last but not least, moving forward, I wanted to talk about a couple of cool things. So we recently, this week, actually brought back together the Wasco County Crisis Response Team, which is an interagency group of first responders, to talk about school safety, community safety, drill planning. And part of this work is actually a subgroup called the Reunification Committee. Reunification would happen if we had to transport students away from their home school site. Say there has been an incident, and then we need to then reunify them with their parent. And it sounds easy, but it is not. So I actually had the opportunity, along with Renata, and I went to Hood River on Monday and got to witness their drill. It was a very eye-opening experience. They had probably about 200 people, including school staff and first responders, that took part in their drill. And it was an incredible experience, great learning opportunity. We've both brought back some key takeaways and some things that we're already going to implement. But we would like to host a reunification drill in June. So we're going to earmark that for the week after school getting out. And I invite any of you guys to participate if you would like to. Maybe even to play a disgruntled parent or a crying person, or yeah. And then last but not least, in collaborating with a couple other local schools in our area, some of our neighboring schools have these really cool emergency trailers that they have preloaded with all of their emergency items. So they're essentially backloaded. So everything that they need, it's in order. They literally just have to drive the trailer and pull things out. And it's all their reunification stations, and it's all the signage, cones, all the emergency equipment. So if they need it, it's all locked and loaded and ready to go. It has maps of where everything is supposed to be set up. So anyone essentially could go hook up that trailer and then just start pulling things out, and everything is in order and has guidelines of where everything goes. So I would like to have a trailer, but I would like to look at some potential grant opportunities this coming year to be able to fund that for us. And I have been in communication with our local county's emergency management team, who has given me a couple of grant leads that I hope will work out. And I will, of course, let you guys know, but fingers crossed that we may have a super cool trailer that's even bigger and better than Hood Rivers and South Wasco counties next year. So, and that is it for our presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie and CJ. Appreciate that. Then our next report is the North, do you want to introduce this? The North Wasco, I'm good, County School District 2025 Summer Programs.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to invite up our administrators who oversaw our summer programming. Katie Garrett, she's one of our instructional coaches. She oversaw our K-5 program. A.D. Taylor, who you know, oversaw our 612 program. And then our Director of Teaching, Learning, and Assessment, Director Ivy, I think, is going to speak for Courtney, maybe, I don't know, because I don't see her here. She oversaw our Jumpstart Kindergarten program. So I will turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Superintendent Dr. Bernal, Chair Heggie, and members of the board. I am here tonight just to introduce these fabulous administrators who did an incredible job during our summer program. As Dr. Bernal mentioned, I'm joined by Katie Garrett and AD Taylor. Courtney Middleton was not able to join us tonight, but she actually did a voiceover presentation. And so we're going to put that into the note so you're able to actually hear her voice, because I would rather not speak for all the work that she did with Jumpstart Kindergarten. But I'm really here to answer questions. I was not in this role during summer school, and so I want to make sure to hand it over to the rock stars who did all the work. So I'm going to go over and hand it to Katie.
All right, thank you. Before I get into the nitty-gritty about the program that I was in charge of, I just want to give a large, very, very large thank you to many of our services within the school district. So our nutrition services, our transportation services, technology, facilities, our communications director, our community partners, our data specialists, Deb, Hannah, and Monica Harmon, the Columbia Gorge ESD, and then of course, the staff at the Dalles Middle School, the staff at the Dalles High School, and the staff at Dry Hollow for letting us use the buildings and invade their space over the summer. So we want to say thank you to all those people for sure. So the program that I was in charge of was the Summer Rise program. This served kindergarten through 5th grade students, and we were housed here at the Dalles Middle School. You can see the numbers here. We had 124 students enrolled, and we employed 27 staff members during the duration. The bulk of our students we saw were incoming 2nd and 3rd graders. And you can see we had far less incoming 5th and 6th graders, so that those groups got kind of small. But you can see all the different types of staff that we had. We had SELAs and we had nurses. It was a really great group of people to work with. You can see the little picture there up on the side there. Yep, that's us. And each classroom, we had 9 classrooms, and each classroom had a teacher and an assistant. And then we also had, like the chart says there, we had some, it's coming up later, but we had a multilingual learner teacher, a special education teacher. So we had all kinds of things. One of the requirements for the grant for the summer program was that we engaged with partners for the summer program. So the ones listed here are the ones that the Summer Rise, the K through 5 program, we worked with. The Dalles Art Center, Home Depot. Anne-Marie Goodman is a 4th grade teacher out at Mosier, and we had her come and do some amazing drama work with our 3rd and 4th graders. We had Imagination Yoga for our kinder and 1st grade students. Clint's Booksellers, we bought a whole bunch of books to be used in all of the classrooms, and we used them for almost all of that, and they gave us a great deal. We took some kids to Maryhill Museum. We took some kids out to the dam. The next door provided us with a youth outreach worker to check in with us. And then we had a quick little trip over to the Washington State Park, Columbia Hill State Park. Our program was 18 days, a total of 108 hours. We ran June 25th through July 24th, Monday through Thursday. We did not operate on Fridays. And we ran from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. That was a difference. Last year we went from 8 to 12, and in our planning we wanted to extend the hours by 1 hour to hopefully get more accomplished, and that kind of backfired. In reflection, 8 to 12 is a better system for the summer, for the kids, for the teachers, for everybody, so we'll probably go back to that next year. Sorry, one more thing there. So we did serve breakfast to all students, or to any student that wanted. We served lunch. We provided lunches for any students that wanted that, and then we were able to offer suppers as well. While I don't know how many of you know, but the Migrant Summer School program runs simultaneously in the same building. Once that program wrapped up, we weren't able to offer suppers anymore, but we were able to while they were here. We offered transportation. We had a nurse on site every day. And we even were able to provide a one-on-one nurse for a student. So that was really awesome that we could do that. Throughout the day, we offered all of these learning activities you can see. I won't read it all to you, but obviously there was a huge focus on literacy, and anything that we did basically had to tie back to literacy in some way. So that was a fun challenge to figure out how to do that every day. And two things that we added this year that we didn't have the year before when I ran summer school was we were able to offer some special education services and some multilingual learner services with teachers certified in those areas to offer that. So in terms of outcomes, we were able to, 18 days is not very long. I think did we have a slide on there about attendance? Is that next? Okay, go. Okay. So we had 18 days, and attendance for the program was, I think 66, I think it says on the next slide, 66% of the students came 80% of the time. So that's a lot of absences still. So when we're looking at outcomes, that's a little challenging if students aren't here. But with the students that did come, we were able to say that 71% of the students increased their foundational skills within the time of our program, and 85% of the students increased their knowledge on the STEM assessments that we gave. And then the math goal was written a little differently, and but we had 100% of the students who attended received somewhere between 10 and 18 lessons that focus on priority math standards from the grade that they had just finished. So we really tried to focus in on those priority things that they need to know for the next year. And so with 18 days, we range from 10 to 18 lessons depending on the class. So I'm a huge proponent of reflecting after the fact, and so the big kind of three things I reflect, there's more than this that I learned, but I'm definitely, the three things that I am taking from this is that we have to do something about the attendance. It's really hard to get positive outcomes if we don't have students coming. And so how do we get kids to come? We have to make it more engaging. We have to make it more enticing for them to get here. And maybe by changing it from 8 to 12 will help. I don't know, we'll see. But definitely if I anticipate the focus will continue to be on literacy. And so making sure that we are balancing that rigor with some fun to get them to increase those literacy skills. And then, I don't know how many of you are aware, but we got funding for summer school towards the end of May. We finally were given our number of and the green light to fully go for this, and summer school started June 25th. So our planning time to get this all organized and get everything ordered and get all the people and in the places and the students registered, it was so crazy. So we really need to have that start earlier. Thank goodness. You can probably speak to this a little bit more, but thank goodness we've now been approved for the next 2 years. We have our budget, we know what's coming, so we can get started on that sooner. We've already been talking about hiring and all of that. So that's it for K-5.
Can I ask, this is not a program for everybody. You have to qualify in, is that right?
Yes. Yes, this year because the focus was on literacy, we had to serve students who were below level in literacy. So that was our first cutoff.
And that will be the same this coming year too. The focus really is going to be on literacy again, really thinking about early literacy and then just foundational skills. As Katie mentioned, because we know that we have 2 years of funding, it provides us a lot more planning time than what was happening in the past. And so we are actually looking to hire an administrator, at least one, to start off with, hopefully by January, so that we can really have a lot of planning time, because this does take a lot of time in order to actually ensure that we have enough staff, ensure that we have the structure and the capacity. As Katie mentioned, because this is a summer program, we want to be really intentional about making it, engaging for students while also being really intentional about that academic growth. And so hiring someone sooner will allow us to be able to do that, allow us to be able to identify the proper assessments, progress monitoring, so that we can ensure that we're actually meeting the outcomes that we're looking for our students. So we're really hoping that some of those lessons learned that Katie mentioned is something that we can start to tackle starting in the new year, so that we have enough time to really make sure that any student that attends summer school is getting what they need and really making that needed progress.
Thanks. Did you ever get a sense of why they had the absences? Did they, come back and say I was sick or we went on vacation? Did you get any data?
All of the above. One thing that definitely I want to look into if I were to be hired to do this job again is we have a very high-profile soccer camp that runs that kids love to attend, and it always conflicts. Camp Moro, kids always love to go to that. We have swim lessons that run simultaneously, and so kids and families are forced to make choices between all of those activities. And unfortunately, summer school usually gets the boot.
Try it in August.
Well, and that's one of our hopes, is that having somebody on board in January who can really do that figuring with other community partners to really think about how we can schedule best. So yes, we are hoping to have somebody on board to be able to do that, as well as talking to families, right, to really figure out what that looks like. I think what's difficult is that there are a lot of families that are really interested in having their students attend summer school, but then, there's a lot of other things that come up. And so really trying to get families to understand the benefit of this program really is having that consistency in that attendance. And that's how we're going to be able to raise those literacy scores. So definitely really starting that learning process, and we'll continue to support just your learning as we build the program.
All right, so the high school, last year I reported to you guys that this building was really full the year before, with migrant ed and Katie doing K through 8 in this building. I think there were more kids in this building in the summertime than there was during the regular school year. So I thought that the high school is, we're not air conditioned, like part of it is, but not all of it. But we could do the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at the high school. And the time crunch kind of kept us from getting a large number, but the kids that did come in the middle school level, it was highly successful. So that was good. And our focus from the ODE is also literacy, but at the high school level, credit deficiency is part of the requirements too. So you can be in high school, summer school with the grant that we got if you needed credits. All right. So we had 89 students, and you can see the breakdown there. We had 13 teachers, 4 educational assistants. I would have liked to have more there, but with like Katie said, the time crunch, it was just hard to get that done. And then Miss Kat, who is our present secretary, attendance secretary at the high school, she's bilingual, and she was, she's trilingual, but she was able to be there and help me out, which was immensely great. And we had 6 seniors who went across the stage in June that still needed credits, and they came to summer school and they got them, and they got their diplomas. All right, so like I said, last year I felt that we could get the middle school kids in there, and we did. The middle school kids, they all had literacy and math class. And then they got to choose 2 other classes. They could have PE, weight training, art, or video production. And then the high schoolers, with the counselor's help, we kind of scheduled them based on what they needed credit-wise. And then other kids could get it. We actually were able to get some kids ahead that were kind of struggling their freshman year because they had to take health their sophomore year, so they could take the health class at high school and summer school and kind of jumpstart things along with retrieving credits from their freshman year. So that worked out real well. A lot of electives helped keep the interest up too. And we closed the campus too. One of my concerns with the middle schoolers coming is that if we got 6th and 7th graders at this school taking off with juniors and seniors to lunch, some parents might be a little upset. And I was very pleased with our high school kids. They were kind of wondering why we had a closed campus. And I told them, I said, this is a safety issue. Parents don't want their kids going to lunch with you high school kids. It's nice that you offer that, but it's just a safety issue. And they said, oh, yeah, well, we get it. And they complied. They were really good about it. So I was very happy with that. Okay, so every class we had a literacy component. If it was journaling, in the graphics class, the 6th and 7th and 8th graders were writing scripts for their videos that they did. And I have those videos. If any of you want to see them, I can send them to you, the videos that the kids did in graphic arts. And of course, all the middle school kids had literacy. And since you have to have four credits of English, a lot of kids have to an English class in high school too, recovery. So most of our kids were in an English class, a literacy class. And they had a novel that the teachers chose. The middle school novel was something about bears. Help me out. They're on an island, but Miss Ann did a great project with the kids, and it was, as you can see, 87% of the kids showed growth in with the rubric that she used with literacy. So it was just immense. She had a lot of the kids in the middle school reading program, and she was very, very pleased with the way that they showed up and the growth that they showed. So it was a really good program. Our high school kids kind of struggled a little bit with the novel with the English class, and I think a lot of that had to do with our English teacher. Her husband is had to go back on, couldn't work online anymore, and so they had to move to Seattle because he worked for Amazon. So he had to go back up there, and she's a great teacher, but she was a little distracted, and I don't know if the kids quite engaged there, but we'll work on that next year to get that engagement up and that up a little bit in the future. And attendance. Another thing with attendance at the high school level is that's the peak of cherry season too, and a lot of kids need to work, and a lot of kids need to work period in the summer to help their families out. A lot of these kids that need credits also need money for themselves and their families. So that's kind of a thing too. The 8 to 1 actually worked really well for the high school. The 1 o'clock, sorry, Katie, we like the 1 o'clock, but getting off, that still allows them to do some work unless they're working in the orchards, which, as you all know, they need to be there in the mornings. And as you can see, our attendance there was pretty good. Our overall attendance was 82%, which is really good. Right where we want it to be. And then middle school, it went really well. The electives, they really loved having the electives and having some choice, and especially getting adjusted to the high school, the 8th graders. And I know Mr. Williams has a lot more plans for 8th graders in the future with summer school. And then 6 seniors, like I said, were able to graduate, and 78.5 credits were earned. And yeah, the closed campus went well too. A low census, and that's because that's a challenge because we just didn't have time with the restrictions that ODE put on us with the funding, and also having to invite the kids. We couldn't just sign them up. So they had to be invited, or they had to come. Yeah, it was kind of a hard process to do in just a month. So that will be taken care of with more time now. And then short prep time, which has been talked about. The kids that did show up, the attendance improved immensely from the high school. And yeah, working students, like I said, and then the early start. High school kids just don't like to get up early. They don't like to get up, period. And so as we go on, KDLD, staff and prep, if we can have more time for that, which we will, is going to be ideal. One thing I noticed especially with credit retrieval, my math teachers are trying to do geometry and algebra together, and the kids are on the computer. And I know we have this computer program, but I don't think these kids learn well with computers. I think they should be learning math with real math lessons. I don't think we should have computers at summer school. I mean, for math anyway. So that's something that I really want to work on, work with the math teachers to make sure that's a go. And the geometry kids are in geometry class, and they're learning the basic stuff that they need in geometry and algebra. And I think it'll be a lot more successful for them. Because, yeah, I wouldn't do well with a computer, so. Not in math, anyway. All right, that's it, Jumpstart.
So like I said, so what we'll do in your board meetings is add a link to Courtney Middleton's presentation around Jumpstart Kindergarten, so you can learn about the successes of that program as well as lessons learned.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you. I know this is above and beyond your normal yearly responsibility, and to be able to take the summer, the whole staff that participated in all these programs, just a sincere thank you, because getting 6 kiddos across that stage with their diploma, awesome. Having kids develop and gain skills, awesome. So just thank you, because that is what our kids need, and I appreciate the educators that took the time in the summer to do so. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 14B, Chief Financial Officer's Report. Dan Peters.
Hello. Good timing. Sugar's hitting from this shake, so that's awesome. So before I get into the regular stuff, I want to talk about the revenue forecast that just came out. Yesterday. Good news is it's better than we hoped it would be. But less bad still isn't good. So they're projecting that the general fund and lottery revenue is up $319 million from the September forecast, but the September forecast was over $800 million down. So we're still net loss. The COSA policy and advocacy team estimates that the overall state budget hole is close to $600 million. Related to that, ODE was directed to prepare a variety of budget cut scenarios. They did the first 2.5% and a second 2.5% for 5%, and they're cutting various programs. They're trying to stick to preserving as much of the student-facing programs as possible. So that's good. And they also had a variety of cuts to the state school fund, ranging from 0 to 5% at 0.5% intervals. And we're hoping that doesn't happen. Back to the revenue forecast. Some things to keep in mind about this. The forecast is the consensus of the state economists, but it is a forecast, and humans are notoriously bad at predictions. They say that the recession risk is still heightened, though it is lower than previously thought. One of the problems or challenges with producing this forecast was that the federal government was shut down, so they were lacking a lot of the data that they usually rely on to produce that forecast. And there's a lot of economic data coming out in the coming weeks that's going to impact how they think about things. The alternative scenarios in the report ranged all the way from a moderate and severe recession to solid growth, population rebound. So that's a pretty wide range of possible outcomes. I think Renata emailed you a copy of my notes for this. I put some links in there. There's a link to the Economist report, if you want to look over that, the slide deck that went with it. I also included some information about the reserve funds. There are two different reserve funds, and there's a good sheet, kind of an explainer on those, how big they are, where the money comes from, the legislation that allowed them, how they're capped. You might want to look at that. And just for some context, there was a good OPB report on the forecast that came out yesterday. So those are all linked. Other things to keep in mind, other statewide programs are going to be facing cuts. And there are other people who are interested in those programs, and they're going to be advocating for them just as strenuously as our educational advocates will be. And there are other costs that have not been budgeted for, including wildfire mitigation, implementation of the federal HR 1 legislation at the state level, and an ending fund balance. And last thing about that is the next revenue forecast will come on February 4th. So we'll be looking for that. Moving on to the other things, there's a resolution in front of you to adopt a supplemental budget. Last time we were here, we were looking, there were some odd numbers in the 230 fund. So it turned out we had some unexpected revenue from Google and local Columbia Regional Educators Network. That money came in and we used it to pay for responsive classroom training. So the supplemental budget that you have to vote on will recognize that revenue and appropriate it for spending on that program.
Will you take a motion now to approve the supplemental budget? Do I have a director willing to make a motion to approve the resolution adopting a supplemental budget? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone?
I move to adopt Resolution 252605, resolution adopting a supplemental budget for fiscal year 2025 to 2026.
Thank you, Dana. Do I have a second? A second from Director Jones. Is there any discussion? Questions? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. You're good to go.
Thank you. So moving on to the financial statements, they are not terribly different from what they were last month. You'll still see that variation in the 230 fund. Once the supplemental budget gets added to our budget, those variances will disappear. So things will look more normal next month. And aside from that, there's not a whole lot to call out in the budget. I always try to find something interesting that might help you understand school finance a little bit more. So on this one, I'll direct your attention to the balance sheet. And if you look in the assets section, the top section on the cash and investments line, so we have fund accounting, so we have a bunch of different buckets that money is in, but it's kind of there theoretically. If you look across that line, you'll see three numbers that are negative. Obviously, you can't have a negative amount of money. So that's just because we pay for things out of the general fund and then we get reimbursed later out of grants. So at the end of the year, we'll go in and do a bunch of work and make some journal entries, and all of these negative numbers will go away. Any questions about that? Okay. And then the next thing we have is the student enrollment. So there's a spreadsheet, shows that we are down 20 kids from last month. And if you look at the graph that goes along with that, the red line is the data for this year so far. And you'll see that we're pretty much right on trend. This is not uncommon at all. Happens pretty much every year. So we'd like to stay it up, We'd like to see it stay up, but it has dropped a little bit.
Does that conclude your report, Dan?
That concludes my report, unless you have anything else for me.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate the call out of the numbers and sharing. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to then the board attorney's report.
I don't have anything for open session.
Thank you. And so then, and the next action item is our cooperative sports agreement with Dufour School District for swimming. And that's in here in the packet. So does anybody has any staff, you want to comment on this, Jim?
Do new board members have any questions about co-op with Dufour? If you went to the championship game Saturday, the announcer said that was Dufour many times. Dufour got a whole bunch of publicity for that soccer game. None of their girls played varsity soccer, but I think we had 3 girls come, maybe 2, but those girls allowed us to have 3 teams this year in girls soccer, so it was awesome. But we do a co-op when what the OSA does is if we do a co-op for swimming with Dufour, basically this will be girls swimming, that means that every girl in Dufour could come swim with us if we do the co-op. So we have to include all the students for Dufour along with our ADM. And right now when we do that, it does not put us into the 5A level. If you look at the report I sent you today in your email and you add up the ADMs next year, we're going to be 4 over. So we may not be able to do co-ops with Dufour anymore because that would move us up to 5A, and we do not want that for our kids. So right now we would stay 4A, and this will allow a young lady from Dufour to come swim with us. So if you approve that, it'll be a plus for her, and we'll work with the Dufour community. Does anyone have any questions on that, how that works? I would never come to you if it was going to jeopardize our kids, I promise.
Thanks for making us aware of it. But we do want her to be able to swim, and so we will invite her by trespassing this co-op agreement. Can I get a motion to accept the cooperative sports agreement with the Dufour School District for swimming for this year?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the co-op with the Dufour School District for swimming this year.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Well, welcome to the pool. Awesome. Okay, so now we're bringing back the item from the executive session that we added, 15B. So we have some motions to make to wrap up some business to address the business in executive session today. I think we had some motions prepared. I'll hear those now.
The board has heard the complaint that was filed on September 29th, 2025, and my motion is for the board to acknowledge that the policy was violated and to direct Mr. Corey to notify the complaining party of the decision and the reasons.
So that was a motion. Okay, do I have a second?
Yep, I second that.
All in favor say
Aye.
aye. Any opposed? No, thank you. And do I have a second motion?
The board has reviewed the complaint dated October 1st, 2025, and my motion is for the board to continue reviewing and investigating the complaint by reviewing specifically policies BBAA, BBF, and BG as long as, and for the complaint to be brought back to the December 2025 meeting.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, any discussion? All in favor say
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 16, first reading on school board policies, no action required. There's a policy change to the budget committee Policy and instructional materials, both updated, probably OSBA. So FYI in your agenda packet. Item number 17, informational only, policies that have been updated. Were these the ones that they had to back out the changes, or I don't recall?
Sorry. One is just an update to our child investigations form, child abuse investigations form, just updating to make it more clear.
It's an AR.
The second AR is just correcting our student representatives to the board. The first paragraph language didn't match what was down in number, I believe it was 5.
In the policy.
Yeah, so it's just aligning the language.
Okay, perfect. Anybody have any questions about those? The ARs? Okay. And I don't believe we had any public comments sign up for non-agenda items, and so I will take a motion to adjourn the board meeting. Are you sure I don't need a motion? Well, I wondered about that. It was in my preliminary notes from OSBA. Dang. All right. Meeting